Hello and welcome. Imagine this. In a single day, the richest people on Earth become penniless. Millionaires jump from windows. A quarter of the entire country loses their job. This isn't a movie. This is October 29th, 1929, Black Tuesday. In just a few hours, $30 billion vanished. More than $500 billion in today's money. Today we open Andrew Ross Sorkin's masterpiece 1929 and ask one terrifying question. Are we walking the exact same path right now? In 30 seconds you'll know why history is screaming at us. Let's begin. This story will teach you 7 deadly lessons. Learn them now or regret later. The 4 most expensive words in history. This time is different. When your taxi driver gives stock tips, the market is at its peak. Investing on margin is gambling with borrowed money. One bad day and you lose everything. Without regulation, crooks always win. Blind optimism that ignores warning signs is fatal. Put all your eggs in one basket and someone will smash that basket. Markets can stay insane longer than you can stay solvent. But in the long run, reality always wins. Now let's see how these lessons were written in blood. Welcome, dear listeners. Today we dive into one of the most dramatic financial catastrophes in history, the Great Crash of 1929. Andrew Ross Sorkin, New York Times columnist and author of the bestseller Too Big to Fail, spent 8 years in archives, private letters, and newly discovered documents to reconstruct hour by hour what really happened. This wasn't just a stock market crash. It was an earthquake that gave birth to the Great Depression and still teaches us painful lessons today. Why should you care? Because history rhymes. Today's speculation fever, meme stocks, cryptomania, and the eternal belief that trees grow to the sky look frighteningly similar to 1929. Sorkin's story is a flashing red warning light. Let's dive in. The economic backdrop of the 1920s was unique. World War I was over, technology exploded, radio, automobiles, electricity, jazz filled the air, and America believed prosperity would never end. Wall Street became the center of the universe. The Dow Jones rose from 61 points in 1921 to 391 in September 1929, a 6-fold increase. Key characters, the giants of finance. A Charles E. Mitchell, Sunshine Charlie, president of National City Bank, today's Citibank. He brought stocks and bonds to ordinary people. He truly believed a new era had arrived where poverty was abolished forever. A Jesse Livermore, the legendary speculator, started trading at 16 and made his first million in the 1907 panic. He was obsessed with precision, left home every day at exactly 8:07, had ticker tape machines in every mansion, yacht, and private train car. In March 1929, he opened a $150 million short position. A Thomas W. Lamont, J.P. Morgan's right hand, the calm, respected elder statesman of Wall Street. A Richard Whitney, vice president of the NYSE, the man who would later be called the hero of Black Thursday. A Billy Durant, founder of General Motors, who warned President Hoover in a secret meeting that the Fed's policy would cause disaster. Speculation fever gripped the nation. Roughly 25 million Americans owned stocks. 1 in 5 citizens. People borrowed heavily on margin, put down 10% and by 100%. Pool operations that artificially pumped prices were perfectly legal. But in spring 1929, the first cracks appeared. Steel production slowed, construction stalled, car sales dropped, household debt skyrocketed. The Federal Reserve tried to cool the market. Too little, too late. Black Thursday, October 24th, 1929, the day the world will never forget. From the opening bell, prices collapsed. In the first 3 minutes, almost 3 million shares were traded. Ticker tapes fell hours behind. No one knew the real prices anymore. Panic and chaos reigned. By lunchtime, the market was down 11%. The bankers' meeting. A huge crowd gathered in front of J.P. Morgan's building at 23 Wall Street. Inside, the titans met: Thomas Lamont, Charles Mitchell, Albert Wigan, Richard Whitney, and others. They created a $240 million support pool. Some sources say $130 million was actually used. At 1:30 p.m., Lamont told the press, "This is just a little technical disturbance. We are handling it." Then Richard Whitney walked onto the floor and boldly bid $205 for US Steel when it was offered at $190, buying 10,000 shares. He did the same for AT&T and other blue chips. The floor erupted in cheers. The next day, the New York Times headline read, "Richard Whitney halts panic." Black Monday, October 28th, the relief was temporary. The market fell another 13%. Selling orders poured in from everywhere. No buyers. Charles Mitchell returned to his office and collapsed into his chair, exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. He knew this was only the beginning. Black Tuesday, October 29th, the darkest day in financial history. 16.4 million shares traded, an unheard of volume. The market lost another 12%. Ticker tapes were nearly 4 hours behind. Brokers couldn't answer phones. Investors were ready to sell at any price, but there were no buyers. Fortunes vanished in hours. Millionaires became paupers. The suicide stories are largely myth, but the despair was real. The decline continued into November, followed by a false recovery. From 1930 to 1932, the market fell even further. By July 1932, the Dow hit 41 points, 89% below its peak. It did not return to 1929 levels until 1954, 25 years later. Causes according to Sorkin: extreme overspeculation, massive margin debt, complete lack of regulation, Federal Reserve mistakes ignoring all warning signals. The deadly illusion: this time is different. This was not just a stock market problem. It shook the entire nation. Unemployment: 3% in 1929, 25% in 1933, 1 in 4 Americans jobless. Over 9,000 banks failed between 1930 to 1933. Millions lost their life savings. GDP contracted 30%. Deflation crushed farmers. Political changes: President Hoover initially called it a minor problem and stuck to rugged individualism. He failed to act decisively. Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected in 1932 and launched the New Deal. Glass-Steagall Act separated commercial and investment banking. FDIC Insured Deposit Securities Act of 1933. SEC created in 1930 for the Pecora investigation. 1933 to 1934 exposed shocking scandals. Charles Mitchell avoided taxes by selling 18,300 shares to his wife and buying them back. Albert Wiggin shorted his own bank stock while publicly supporting the market. Richard Whitney, the hero of Black Thursday, later stole money and was sent to Sing prison. Fates of the main characters. Charles Mitchell, acquitted criminally but fined $1 million, career destroyed. Jesse Livermore, made $100 million shorting the crash, later lost everything, committed suicide in 1940. Thomas Lamont, survived relatively well but reputation damaged. Richard Whitney, 10 years in Sing Sing. Billy Durant, bankrupt in 1936. The crash destroyed public trust in Wall Street and the elite forever. America abandoned laissez-faire economics. The trauma affected generations. People born in the 1940s and 1950s were afraid to invest in stocks for decades. Andrew Ross Sorkin spent 8 years writing this book, studying archives, letters, diaries, even weather reports to reconstruct events hour by hour. His style is character-driven storytelling. He shows heroes and villains as complex, flawed human beings, not cartoons. The book's message for today: history repeats. Crypto booms, meme stocks, FOMO, everything echoes 1929. We are saying this time is different again. History says otherwise. Perfect for investors, traders, history lovers, economic students, leadership students, and actually everyone. Recommended similar books: Too Big to Fail, Andrew Ross Sorkin, The Great Crash 1929, John Kenneth Galbraith, Liar's Poker, Michael Lewis, When Genius Failed, Roger Lowenstein, The Big Short, Michael Lewis. Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, Edwin Lefevre, about Jesse Livermore. In conclusion, 1929 is not just a history book, it is a screaming warning for our time. If you found this summary useful, please like and subscribe. In the comments, let us know: what shocked you most about 1929? Do today's markets really resemble 1929? Which character fascinated you the most? Thank you for listening. See you soon.